Hey everybody, I'm Gabriel Carrejo, and today I have the distinct pleasure of being joined by my friend Micah Smith and our friend Prasanna Ramaswamy from Recode Solutions. Prasanna, how are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Prasanna, really quick, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about Recode.
Yeah, thanks for that question. Recode is a IT consulting company focused on automation. So we have an automation first, software first approach to our solutions, and it's a 7-year-old company now. We have been doing great, and we are an exclusive partner with Automation Anywhere from an automation perspective. And this partnership is about 6 years old, and it's going great guns.
That's fantastic. I mean, over the last 6 years, I think so much. I've been with the company for 5 years, and in those short 5 years, so much has changed, and we're at now this I don't know if it's a precipice still or not, but Gen AI is everything, everywhere. Intelligent automation, the key to transformation. We are, announcing a suite of new products designed to help you put Gen AI to work. But what I wanted to dive into is, as people are thinking about using Gen AI, putting Gen AI to work with intelligent automation, how do you recommend, what are you consulting and telling your customers how to get started with regards to like use case assessment, for instance?
Yeah, having been a practitioner of automation for the last 11, 12 years, I have seen this space evolve over the last decade. And I have seen technologies evolve as well, and Gen AI is a different pivot to the technology tool set that you have. We are having a lot of conversations with different customers on Gen AI because it's a buzzword now. Everybody wants to know what it is, but they don't know exactly where to put that to use. So my recommendation is don't implement a technology for the sake of it, right? Look for opportunities. Opportunities where they were not able to automate earlier, or opportunities where they were not able to automate completely, how Gen AI can come and fill the gap, right? So that's how I look at it. Those are the two lenses at which I look. For example, if you take a document automation, whatever was not possible, now that has become possible with Gen AI, right? Contact center is another one that we all talk about. Whatever was restricted from an automation perspective earlier is now become much more easier, much more conducive for automation, end-to-end automation, whatnot. So I think that's what it is. So we look for opportunities. We already have a list of use cases, if you will, both horizontal and vertical across industries, across business functions. So we start with that, but then the rubber has to meet the road, right? That's why. So it has to be contextualized to each and every customer and whatnot. So looking for those use cases where automation was not possible earlier, or automation was restricted earlier, that's what we go after.
That's opened up new opportunities to get started.
Absolutely.
Right?
As a part of our Pathfinder program, we're recommending customers to mature in the way that they're managing, maintaining, and prioritizing opportunities through their automation pipeline. Talk to me about some of the metrics that you're helping customers to identify as they choose what's the next best fit for their automation program.
I think that's a great question. In fact, we are doing something very similar with a very, very large Fortune 100 company based in Texas, so to speak. It is not just about identifying the opportunities, it is about the value that the automation will get you, right? And what we were very clear from day one when we started that discovery assignment was, what are the metrics that the customer wants to move the needle on, right? Okay, yeah. Because they will have their own business metrics that they want to impact because of this automation. And cost is just one element of it, right? Efficiency, throughput, productivity, error reduction, and so on and so forth. So we ask them for what those metrics are. But through that assessment, through the discovery, when we identify use cases, not only we go and see which use case will move what net metric, we also identify additional metrics, right? Additional metrics so that the return on investment is guaranteed, right? To top it, as we get into the execution phase, we also partner with them where we put a percentage of our fee at risk, where we say, because we identified the ROI for you guys and we will help you achieve. If you don't achieve, you don't pay me the full amount, right? Which means it's a skin in the game. and they just love it because they don't hear it from a lot of consulting companies. It's easy to tell them, hey, you are going to improve your top line by 10%, but we will actually stand with them shoulder to shoulder, help them achieve, and then their skin in the game. So it is about identification of metrics, and I always say these two things. The metrics have to be unambiguous. Because you have to identify metrics which only the automation journey program will impact, right?
Yeah.
It can't be a generic metric. So you have to identify metrics which are so that I do this, metric change this much. I do this, it changes Y.
Yeah.
So that's one. Second is the way you calculate the metric also has to be unambiguous. What algorithm that you are using, what data that you are getting it from, so that it is very, very crystal clear for both the parties in terms of what the metrics are and how do you achieve it.
I like that. We've talked to a lot of customers who maybe start with their metrics of like the number of automations delivered, which doesn't really have a lot of business value when you talk to a leader. But then they start to mature to things like hours saved, money saved, even things like cash on hand, the impact of like environmental changes because of their automations, less CO2 emissions, things like that. So it's been really interesting to see the way that people mature in the types of metrics that they're capturing.
And as you say that, and we're talking about sort of this phase, there's sort of these three distinct phases, right? From start to accelerate to scale. It's not just about sort of, to your point, the volume of automations or complexity of automations, et cetera. It's about the metrics as well and how those change and sort of continue to reinforce the ROI and the value of the investment, not just sort of the ROI, traditional ROI, right? But to your point, there's a lot of different metrics that we have.
Yeah. How do you guys think about systematically evaluating different automation opportunities, right? So I've got a list of, let's say, 50 opportunities that have come from my different business stakeholders. How am I evaluating to determine what's the next best fit and what do we want to take on now versus what we want to shoot for 6 months from now?
Yeah, I think that, and there's a cultural angle to that also, right? I mean, it's not, you just can't go by the ROI, right? The bang for the buck, and then go down the list. So we look at it from 3 or 4 different angles, if you will, right? One is, of course, ROI, whichever is the business case. Second is quicker time to market, okay? Because particularly if it is a customer where they are just starting the automation journey, you want to do a quicker time to market so that the adoption is much better. You want to show and prove to people that it works, right? It works and whatever. So quicker time, the time to market is another variable that we talk about. The third one is also strategical importance to the customer, okay? It might not be dollars associated with it, a lot of dollars associated with it, but it is very strategical. It improves their competitive advantage and whatnot, right? The fourth is also the cultural part of it, right? Because sometimes different departments pull different weights in an organization, and you have to be sensitive to that, right? Some departments are much more amenable to automation. Some departments are wait and watch. So rather than saying, going after somebody who is still not completely bought on, you go after somebody who's really bought on and then start doing that. So these are the 4 different lenses in which we identify the roadmap.
I like that. Yeah, so a bit of a strategic element there because I might want to expand in this new area, or I know this one area is really like they're all about automation and they're fully adopted. So I really appreciate that, and I think that our viewers will really learn from that too. Like that's something you can take away and start considering as you're evaluating your own automation pipeline.
I think that's, thank you so much, Prasanna, because I think that's, one of the things we wanted to accomplish here while we're doing this is real talk. It's not just like, hey, here's your bingo card, and we've got this pretty sheet for you to follow. So this, step 1, the real talk. Like there are cultural and personal even considerations to success, right? And being able to identify those, ultimately to help everybody win, right? All of those things important. So Prasanna, thanks so much for joining us. I look forward to more insights and doing this again with you, but I appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me. I had a great
Thanks everyone.